There is no doubt that Fanstoys is the most exciting third-party company creating masterpiece Transformers today. I'm excited for every single one of their releases, and the vast majority of the releases that they put out are the most definitive versions of that character on the market. But today, I'm going to talk to you about some of the passes that they get and why Fanstoys gets a pass now and then. I'm also going to say that this isn't a question of do they get a pass, it's why do they get a pass versus other companies such as ExTrans Boss or Takara. We're going to talk about this coming up. When Fanstoys first came on the market many years ago, I was at 14 when we started seeing, 2012 when they put out some stuff, 2014 when they started gaining some traction, but around 2016 they were still a new company. And when they put figures out, they got scrutinized to the point that this Lupus was not very well received, either by most reviewers. It wasn't received very well by collectors, and it sat on shelves. It got clearanced out. Nobody wanted it. Nowadays, it's highly sought after. People pay a lot of money for it. But the difference between then and now is if Lupus or a Lupus type figure comes out now, everybody's going to praise it no matter what. Some of their figures are really good, and I would say home runs, but some people say they don't like the alt mode on Sovereign. So there are some give and take for every figure made in the Masterpiece line. There is nothing that's 100% perfect. There's only what you like the most. And again, we're currently living in an era where most of these figures that have come out or are still up for release are replacement figures. We already have a representation of most of the characters that are out there, and a lot of the ones that are coming are slight improvements. Or in some cases, massive improvements, and still the best on the market so far. So let's talk about how collectors and fans are giving Fanstoys a pass. I gotta tell you, with this Road King, I don't like it. I never liked it from day one. When I pulled it out of the box, I did not like it. I don't like what they did with the trailer and incorporating the trailer. Now, it is a feat of engineering, and it's a great idea that it can be done. But the fact that they did it, I don't like it. It makes me like the figure less. In fact, I like the other two options more for a Motor Master. Now, there's arguments on all the sides. We can't be here all day about it, but the reason that they did it theoretically is because the toy had it. But I think that it would have been a better figure, a way better figure, had they not incorporated it. Now, looking at the other two, I prefer the aesthetic of the other two from the front. Looking at it from the side, it still looks sort of clean, but I don't want to see the trailer on it. I don't want to see a trailer hanging off the back. I don't want to see a trailer all down the side of the leg. I don't want to see any of that. Now, that doesn't mean that the other two are any cleaner, but these two here kind of break down a bit on the side themselves also. Looking at it from the back, ExTrans Boss is quite crazy in the back, but the gigantic backpack, and again, I don't really care about backpacks, but in this case, I think this makes it excessive for them to pull off a gimmick that I feel is entirely unnecessary, and I don't think we need it. So Road King gets a pass in that regards. Now, a lot of people give it praise. They go beyond just giving it a pass to praise. It's amazing what they did here, but could it be 10 times more amazing if they would have just made the trailer separate? Now, again, that would have added cost in another way, so there's give and take to every angle of this, and so I'm kind of happy we're not paying for a Fanstoys trailer like the ExTrans Boss trailer. I'm still not happy with ExTrans Boss, but in this case, I think it would have made this figure so much better. I would have liked it more instead of pushing it to the very back of my display behind DX9 and ExTrans Boss. Most recently, Thomas fills a hole in our collections that we all seem to have needed. There's other versions out there, such as DX9, such as Toy World / Zeta, and this blows both of them out of the water. And the Fancy Cell one, I think that's what it's called. Anyway, this Captain, it looked good. It looked very similar to this. It has some of the drawbacks this one does, but still, it blows all of them out of the water. But one of the problems with this figure is once you turn it to the side and to the back, it starts to break down. Now again, I don't care about the back. If you're going to hide kibble, hiding it on the back is the best place to do it, in my opinion. But this really does break down. And a lot of people say this figure should have been number one on every number one list, the number one figure of 2020. No other figure that came out in 2020 touches it. I highly disagree with that. I mean, it's a good figure. It looks good. It fills the gap we need. Number one, far from it. But what really strikes me as odd, and this struck me the second people started dropping this number one, this got to be number one out of everyone's list, is Bumblebee. It has the same breakdowns as Takara's version 2 Bumblebee. And in fact, I think Takara's version 2 Bumblebee does a few other things relatively well. Looking at them straight on from the front, I love the way it looks from the front. The Bumblebee from the front, had they given it the tinted windows, it would have been nearly perfect from the front. But looking at Astrotrain from the front, he still has gigantic lower legs, which really isn't perfect. Doesn't make it perfect. Still looks good, still passable. I wouldn't want them to add 12 other hinges to the lower legs to break them down more. That would have been terrible. So I accept that and I move on. Now looking at them from the side, we still see they both kind of break down here. The same people that bash Bumblebee for this reason say, hey, this other dude needs to be number one. Thomas needs to be number one. I don't get it. These people are giving Fanstoys a pass, but they won't do it for Takara. They don't do it for ExTrans Bots. It's a Fanstoys members only type of mentality. And the back speaks for itself. I mean, I took the pictures because they are worth a million words. Yeah, I can't say any more than the picture already shows. Again, I'm not surprised. I knew from the first pictures of Thomas, from looking at it, the back was going to be a mess. They were going to hide it all in the back, and I was fine with it. I'm perfectly fine with it. But if you're fine with it too, then you got to be fine with what they did with Bumblebee. That the back of that's a little bit of a mess. It has a backpack, right? Well, let me show you something else that people aren't okay with when it comes to the back. MP44. The MP44 looks great from the front. I mean, side by side, they look like they're cut from the same stone. They both look excellent. They look great on a shelf. I like the way both of these look. Now we look to the side, and I'm sorry, but MP44 is super clean. Now I do want to point out, and I am going to say that I'm going to give Fanstoys this, a triple changer is a much different ball game than just one mode to another. So getting it this clean as Prime is going to be really hard. I'm going to give them that. But it still breaks down way more than MP44. And people bash MP44 to this day, to this week, about the backpack on MP44, which I like because I like the gimmick, the electronics gimmick. If I didn't like the electronics gimmick, I would probably be more inclined to dislike that backpack. But let's look at them straight up from the back, and here we go again. And MP44 looks good. Now I know a lot of the problem with this is that, oh well, MP44 was a $328 figure versus a $220 figure, and MP44 has 2 modes instead of 3 modes and all that stuff. So there's all things to take into account, but an apple's an apple and an orange is an orange. So a lot of people are saying, well, Mike, you don't care about back. Why are you worried about this? Well, I knew Fanstoys never gave us these pictures, the pictures of Fanstoys Thomas back with any of the promo art. Oh, Mike, they never show the backs of any of their figures in any of their promo. Oh, well, yes, they do. Now, I'm not going to say it's shady, but it's convenient for Fanstoys to release pictures of the back of the figures when they clean up real well. But they hide the back when they don't clean up very well. This has been going on with Fanstoys for a long time. Again, I don't even really care, but a vast vocal majority of collectors do, so I gotta point this out. So we have seen 2020 bring a $50 price increase across the board for the vast majority of Fanstoys products on a go-forward basis, and it was a bit of a surprise to me. I mean, I did not realize they were just gonna overnight flip the switch and here it is, everything's $50 more. That shocked me when it came to the figures that were bigger than mini-bots. Seems like the mini-bots are relatively unaffected because the case quantity and the shipping and all that stuff, they're smaller and all that goes with it. Okay, they're relatively unaffected. And then getting into the limbs that were already in the works, so I don't know pricing for limbs going forward. So we're going to be seeing that soon. will the new limbs be a lot more expensive. But when it comes to Berserk, and then when it comes to their Trailbreaker, they're $50 more each. But ExTrans Boss tries to do the same thing, and they get chastised. In fact, people cancel their pre-orders, people get upset. Well, what happens when Fanstoys ups their price $50? They sell out. Speaking of ExTrans Boss, ExTrans Boss Ali got so much crap over the years for being a terrible figure, and he's not a terrible figure. I have owned every version, 1, 2, and 3. I can't explain why. It doesn't make any sense. I think I've done a comparison video, comparing version 1 and version 3. And I have to admit that they have made improvements. ExTrans Boss made improvements. And I like that. I like that they see, okay, this isn't great. We're going to make it great. It's good. Let's make it great. I think it's great. I don't really see a reason another company would come along and put out an Ollie or a Wheelie. But I can see Fanstoys doing it and everybody dumping their ExTrans Boss just because it's Fanstoys. Could Fanstoys beat it? Yeah, it's possible. Could they make a better one? It's possible. Would it be heavier? Would it have tighter tolerances? Would it be a more stout figure? Yeah, probably. But I'm happy with this, and I'd rather spend my money working on something else and not upgrading a character that's really, really low on my list that's already very well satisfied. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty and the points on why these figures are getting a pass. Why does Fanstoys get a pass? I broke my Dune Rider. I was really upset with more myself, but also the figure. Their service after the sale is second to none. Fanstoys sent me my part. I got it fixed. It was not easy either. I made a video about that. And I have so much loyalty to the company because of the fact they do stuff like that. I couldn't get a part for my ExTrans Boss. Definitely couldn't get a part from Takara. So this sets them aside from all of them. Do they deserve a pass? Guess what? They go the extra mile. Has Fanstoys delivered some of my favorite characters? Yes. In fact, my absolute favorite character is Jetfire / Skyfire. And I think they did him well. Now, I wanted it so bad. Now I have 2 versions. I've got the X and the Standard, and I like both of them. I like them equally. Well, I guess I like the X a little more. But they both look great, and they continue to deliver figures that look amazing on my shelf, and for that, I continue to go after the product. And even though I held off on some of the releases, I picked them up down the road realizing they are superior than some of the other ones that are out there. Now that doesn't mean every one of the releases is the best to be found. And that doesn't mean that in the future they won't put out a dud. But at the end of the day, if they keep getting a pass, they might not stay on top of their game. That's one thing that worries me about Fanstoys. I never want to see Fanstoys out of the game until they've made one of every character for G1, obviously. But if they keep getting a pass when it's only subpar or just okay, will they try harder on the next one? I don't know. But as for right now, I'm still more than satisfied with the figures that they've been releasing. Lastly, I'm still concerned about the combined modes. I do not know how these are going to combine, how well they'll hold together, how well they'll hold up when they each weigh 40 pounds. I don't know how much they'll weigh when it's done. But we still haven't seen an actual picture of an actual combined version of either of their combiners this late stage in the game. I'm not worried for me. I'm worried about you because I'm not going to display them in combined mode. So I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say about Fanstoys getting a pass occasionally. Do they deserve it? Yeah, they kind of do. But what do you think in the comments below? Like, subscribe. Tiberium Hanger out.